Well, hello and welcome into the first call brought to you by Kamata Park as we gear up for what is going to be an exciting long weekend here in New Zealand. We start on Friday night with the Manikato Stakes at the Valley. We finish on Monday, of course, with the James and Annie Sarton Memorial Stakes out of Te Rapa. Plenty in between, but of course on Saturday it is the WS Cox Plate, and historically it's been a battle of the Anzacs.
Once this physical play started, it just seemed like Australia went to another level.
This has been a magnificent comeback by the All Blacks after all looked lost.
And that is it.
Great landing.
They're going to lock an underarm. They haven't believed it. That's a disappointing finish.
Our Waverley Star, the rails, Bone Crusher the outside, and Bone Crusher races into equine immortality.
The Kiwi takes the plate, it's the Phantom Chance. And New Zealand takes the Cox Plate with Sunline.
They hit the line. Ocean Park wanted to hit to all too hard. Here comes Tiakau Shark. Oh, he's good. It's up Tiakau Shark. The boy in the tangerine and blue.
Feast your eyes on this. Tiakau Shark just goes bang.
Colding a neck in front from Tiakau Shark. Tiakau Shark going to Colding, misses.
It's all on, isn't it, on Saturday for the WS Cox Plate? And can we see Tiakau Shark take the race out? He's around $16 or $17. Intriguing race, it really is. We've got Very Elegant as well in the race with James McDonald with that New Zealand angle. International flavour to the race. Oh, it is really set up, Jason, is it? Evening to you and also to you, Aidan.
Hi, Brendan. Hi, Aidan. Hi, everyone. It really is. Two Japanese-trained runners, a runner trained out of Great Britain officially and another one trained out of Ireland, Aidan O'Brien. So in a race that traditionally was between Australia and inter-Australia, extended to New Zealand, and now they're from all over the world. Remember in 2000, Sunline won the Cox Plate. Her campaign kicked off by winning the Manikato Stakes. Now, of course, they're Friday, Saturday night, so we're not going to see a repeat of that. That'll be 1,000,000 to 1, but just showed what an outstanding year she had to do that Group 1 double, 1,200 into 2,040 metres.
Yeah, it's a special race, isn't it? I mean, for me personally, Aidan, it's probably the one that I always love to watch and certainly go to watch as well. It's something about Moonee Valley, isn't it? You're so close, the horses are right in front of you, it's a big crowd, it's a special race.
Absolutely, and it's got that New Zealand history. I think a lot of that is sort of going back into '87 and the whole Bone Crusher Waverley Star phenomenon, which really not only captured us back here because, you know, it was a couple of our, you know, great horse. Bone Crusher was just, you know, the superb horse of the people at the time, and then Waverley Star came from that dominant stable of Dave and Paul O'Sullivan. So Lance O'Sullivan doing the riding, I think it all stems from there. And we've had some decent horses go over and be pretty competitive in there since, you know, the likes of Silent Achiever and Jimmy Choo and Tycoon Lil and those sort of horses outside our winners such as Ocean Park and Sunline as well. So yeah, I can't wait. And then we've got Bostonian and the Manikato. We've got 3 meetings for stakes races as well. So what a weekend in front of us.
Post Winx is interesting for the Cox Plate this year as well, isn't it, Jason? Because, you know, when Winx was going for 4 and then was so dominant through the other races, when winning the Cox Plate, it was more about her just winning the race and taking it as a spectacle. This is a great betting race on Saturday.
Well, we've got a full field and 4 that missed out that are on the ballot, and the controversy during the week that stemmed from a horse like Humidor who ran Winx so close, particularly in one Cox Plate that was very memorable, not getting a start. Got a 3-year-old in Castelvecchio starting, and of course Tiakau Shark, the Kiwi injection, for another expat Kiwi in Humidor. Some were saying that was the spot that they were vying for, that last spot between the two of them. So it's quite a different look this year because of there being no Winx. But the marketing, the intrigue and the tension surrounding the race is still the same. We're just not going to see history in the sense of a 4th Cox Plate by one horse. We are going to see history by another special horse having to win it because there is some quality from all around the world.
Certainly is. Right, we'll talk more around the WS Cox Plate a little bit later on in the show, and of course we'll look to try and get hopefully something from Dan O'Sullivan as well at the back end of the program. If not, you can catch Dan O'Sullivan's selections online or through Trackside Live through our programming leading up to Saturday's Cox Plate Day. But we do need to concentrate on our features here because, as the boys said, we've got a fair bit to look forward to with 3 domestic meetings on Saturday, and we're going to have a look first of all at the Barneswood Farm Soliloquy Stakes out of Ellerslie. At the moment, track conditions, Jason, they've come back to a dead 6. There's been a lot of wind and there's a chance of more drying over the next couple of days leading up to start time in this particular race, the Barneswood Farm Soliloquy.
I think if the track were to stay at a dead 6 or maybe even a dead 5, participants would be pretty happy given the amount of water that we've seen fall across various parts of the country, but particularly in the north of the north the last week. Who does that suit? Well, if it is a dead 6, I think that provides a perfect surface.
Interesting market at the moment as well with Travelling Light, who's been the big mover in this market. Aidan, $5.50 into $4.80. And since we're talking about Travelling Light, we'll move straight into the map as well because she's a horse who does map to be in a very good spot.
Absolutely. We saw Aretha lead throughout and winning the Gold Trail at Hastings last time out. I just wondered whether Travelling Light, they'd be just anxious to get to the front. She's so impressive so far in her 2 wins. You've got Bavella, who was caught 3 wide in the Gold Trail. I think they can press forward from 7 and get a spot. I think Familiar will be happy just being 3 back the fence, and First Rock's another speed influence in the race. Outside those, what do the others do? Well, maybe they can look for a position. I thought Loire might be a little bit handier than most people would have it. I've got it quite handy there from 13. I think they can press forward. I wonder whether they might chance their arm, and a lot might have to do with track conditions. Those horses out 15, 16 and 17 have got tough jobs to do, and I think horses like Has to Be Good, Kia Retta go back.
Well, let's go to Kia Retta. This is one of the back markers we were going to concentrate on first of all as well, Jason, and this is an effort when winning out of Te Rapa, and it does get the chance of looking at Bellamente as well. This is a win out of Te Rapa back on the 4th of October.
Really strong performance. I think the runners in this race have a little bit defined on a couple of others, and I think, as Aidan mentioned, the map's really important. I don't think, Aidan, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Is this race going to be run quickly enough for horses like Kia Retta to work into it late, or are they really going to be sort of sprinting in the straight after having a soft middle section that's going to make it really hard for those back in midfield?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Especially with those horses drawn wide and horses who might just have, is there going to be the intent? And the other thing, are horses like Kia Retta even going to start there? I have just got a text from Bruce Perry as well. It's definitely Kia Retta. I know it's I think it's Italian, so that is definitely the right pronunciation of this horse, but no rider declared as we make this program on a Thursday night, so perhaps they're heading towards Monday's James and Andy Sarton Memorial Stakes at Te Rapa. There's a few fillies in there, so we do have to tread a little bit warily.
Sorrentina's in that same sort of bracket
exactly,
as well.
and
He's got a better draw.
Bellamente, so there's a few of them as well, I think. So
here's Travelling Light. Now, this was some sort of win from Travelling Light here, Jason. Yes, the track was off. It was rated a heavy 10. We didn't have the likes of Equinox and Double Impact, and a few of those horses that came out of this race. Still dropped Harlech, though, and showed a very good turn of foot and put this field away.
I know the track conditions, when you have track conditions like that presented, it's a little bit difficult because other horses might not be as effective, but she's still run the fastest last 600 on the day, and that's a day that's featured pretty good run from Pin Me Down in a resuming sort of sprint race, Supreme Heights in that race, and also Burgundy Bell. So, these are decent short course horses, and she's dead set put them away. Like Harlech's got a bit of a reputation about him, and she's quickened in the last 150 metres and made him look distinctly ordinary. And I don't think they think he's ordinary. I think they think Harlech's pretty decent, and he was okay when he won, wasn't he? So she's going to be very hard to beat. How do you line that up with, say, Sorrentina and Flaunting, Aidan?
I think definitely the Matamata form is superior. That's the answer to that. She's gone up at the 250 metres and been alongside Harlech, and then there's 6.5 lengths between them on the line. So that's how I line them up. This is a very good win. She's wound up really nicely late, Sorrentina, and obviously we're seeing Flaunting in there as well. Those sort of horses have been mixing it. She's drawn 17. It's going to be niggly from out there, so I like what she's doing and what she's done in this race, especially late, because she took a long time to really get into her gears, but that top gear looks to be a good one.
Yeah, flaunting in that race. Of course, a runner we've seen appreciates, getting into that sort of slow, heavy bracket races like what the Castletown, when winning in June, placed in a Rider Stakes, a little move with the bookmakers, 26
and
and
was,
21.
7 lengths behind London Bound when they clashed as well, but then London Bound's chased Flaunting home in the next time out. So Flaunting's another horse who's going to get back from a wide draw, but on her best, she could be competitive here as well.
It's just very difficult for both of those fillies from their draws, as you mentioned, where they're likely to be, for them to be finishing over the top of other horses that are going to have 3 and 4 lengths on them when they start to quicken anywhere between the 6 and 400. It just depends on jockeys. But even if they quicken early at the 600, still a tough task to be coming likely widest of all unless you get Dream Rails runs and run past sort of horses of the quality of Aretha. Where's Bavella going to be in the map? Even Has to Be Good, you think might be.
Do you think Bavella, they'll go forward? They've got to be outside.
I think so. She's not. She doesn't naturally ping the gates, does she? But she can sort of muster and wind into it.
Well, let's have a look at that race now, guys, because it is the Gold Trail, and this is one of the key form references,
Absolutely.
if not the key form reference around these horses. And as you can see by all the arrows, when you're looking at Aretha, who wins a race and beats Bavella, and obviously Carly's in this race, who's unlucky, comes out and wins a stakes race last weekend. Jennifer Eccles unlucky, Loire as well. So this is the key form going into the weekend.
Absolutely. And we're getting a line through Carly. I know she's been really unlucky, but she's now the 1,000 guineas favourite, which means she's the top of the tree of these horses, yet we're sort of seeing her, a few lengths behind. And there things didn't go against her, went against her in running. But Aretha is a Matamata Breeders' Stakes winner who's gone on, placed in 2 Group 1s, returned with a Group 3 win. And there was nothing in it on the line with her and Bavella, and there's nothing, the run of Loire, who's finished in the quickest last 600, Jennifer Eccles, who's one of the last 600s of that race as well. But that's the key form race, and for mine, I just don't want to be playing against Aretha in any shape or form. She's done nothing wrong, and she's going to be the one who I think bounces out of that race.
It's interesting that there wasn't a heck of a lot of tempo in that race, and the last 200s of those horses that we've sort of discussed, Aretha went 11.6. And Bavella managed to go a length faster last 200, but quite a bit faster, length and a half, nearly 2 lengths quicker, both Loire and Jennifer Eccles last 200. So if you're thinking about stepping up in distance from 12 to 1400 metres, then that's in the back of your mind saying, okay, are they stronger horses, or is that just the illusion of what happened in the race and what work each horse did to get to those positions before the sprint went on? So I think the biggest question mark for Bavella that Connections have is how far will she go? Is she a 1200 metre horse? Will she get to 14? Against her own age, is she going to be a 1,000 guineas candidate? Well, she'll have to show it at Ellerslie over 14 for them to get really keen. I think you've still got to roll the dice and go to the Group 1 for the fillies, but how far will she get? So will 14 be the extent of her range? Will it be a bit longer?
And even outside those sort of horses, Has to Be Good, who trialled up beautifully. She's got into traffic, 250 metres out, gets out late, and then was hitting the line really nicely as well. So she's another eye catcher. I think that is the key form line, that Gold Trail, and it's just really how Travelling Light for me measures up against that form, because this is a quality renewal of this soliloquy. I don't think I've seen one basically as strong as this. But I really think, and the more I think about it, I think Aretha could be something special. She might be the next, dare we say it, sort of, the good horse out of the Baker Horseman.
Well, the good thing about her is her pattern, right? She's drawn well, she's going to be there, so she is going to take all the running down. She is going to be rated accordingly, so that's a massive plus. You've got a lot of horses that are, their natural tendencies are to be able to find their feet and then sort of finish on. Like you speak about Has to Be Good, where her last 200, even though it looked like she was flashing home, was actually inferior to both Loire and Jennifer Eccles. And you look at that and you go, well, you've got to be on Has to Be Good next start, but actually she wasn't as strong as a couple of others in the race, and they did finish in front of her. So yeah, it is a puzzle, but yeah, I know what you're saying about Aretha. I'm very reluctant to
So how do we play
discount
it? How are you playing?
Well, I really like the run of Loire. I know that the stable have been spruiking her as a horse that they're more as confident as most others. I know they rate Carly highly, but getting over ground is a positive for her, and she races like that. And I have to be with Travelling Light. I want to slot her in as sort of the benchmark out of this bunch of fillies. You put your opinion on the line, you could be wrong, but that was just too good a performance at Matamata not to really take notice. And And, you know, I feel not great about leaving out Aretha and even Bavella because, you know, they've Quinella'd by a nose the Gold Trail, which is traditionally the real indicator of these fillies.
Yeah.
Deep race.
I don't want to be leaving out those type of horses either.
You can't back them all.
Exactly.
It's
And
not
we
like
haven't even
Pokemon.
spoken about Ala Luna, who's like a Group 1 performer from last season as well. The horse I'm going to leave out here is Bavella. I don't like doing. I'm going to put 5 of them in a box Quinella. So we're going Aretha Bellamonte, I think, is a big improver into this race. Travelling Light has to be good in Loire as well.
All right, nice one. Okay, that's the Barneswood Farm Soliloquy Stakes over 1,400 metres, and we'll get a true line on who the 1,000 Guineas favourite is, with already what we've seen last week with Carly as the favourite for the race. But of course, we get the chance to see these fillies stake their claim for the 1,000 Guineas at Riccarton. Let's move on now to the next of our features out of Ellerslie, and it's a chance to have a look now at race number 6 of the day. And this is a top race. This is the Stella Artois Fast Track Extra $5,000, 1,400 open handicap. We see Sapira number 1 at $5.50. She was impressive when she won the Travers Stakes at the end of her last preparation. She was Group 1 placed when finishing second in the New Zealand Thoroughbred Breeders. You've got Magnum at $9, $5.50 around the Mitigator, who's drawn to lead. Hanger is at $4.60. We also see the return of Mongolian Conqueror. Been scratched a couple of times. $13 is the price around him. Of course, narrowly placed in the New Zealand Derby here at Ellerslie. Let's go to the map now, and Aidan, as we bring you in, the Mitigator, he's a horse that enjoys Ellerslie, enjoys this distance. He has the inside gate, and he was placed when last presented in the red badge. You've got him as the leader.
He's the likely leader in the race, and I think they'll press forward with other horses. Battle Time comes into this really nicely at the weight, so when I was sort of doing my form, I thought it might have been a little bit wetter, but nonetheless, with 51.5 kilograms, I think they'll press the button and press forward. Victor Vegas gets into a nice spot, and I think they'll be as positive as they can with Ronke, but he's so unreliable at the start. You just don't know where he's going to be. There's other horses we'll get back. Superior, Watch the Space, Hanger. That's just their normal pattern. And Southern Icon, as always, he'll sort of just wind into his spot from out wide. I think it's a good draw for him.
Okay, then, well, let's look at the map. Let's go to the first of our videos now, and this is the Mitigator. This was the placing in the red badge. When punching forward, you've got Dawn Patrol on the outside of the Mitigator here, who of course then has come out and won at stakes level last weekend at Rotorua. Hanger and also Magnum. Magnum might be a chance of going to
Yeah,
Te Rapa.
to Te Rapa. Actually, I haven't met Magnum. I think Magnum probably will be at Te Rapa. They've declared a jockey, Opie Bosson, at Te Rapa. No jockey declared at Ellerslie. So if it does go into the map, he goes into the trail. His run was very good this day, but there were some really nice runs around him. Watch the Space was eye-catching. Just he won't want it to be run too slowly though. But at $13, he's a price in this race, Jason.
He certainly is, because he gets some weight in his favour off others that come out of that race, and we know that...
It's a 3.5 kilogram swing on the Mitigator.
Yes, the biggest issue for him is the map. I see there being a lot less pressure in the race on Saturday, the Mitigator. I just expect him to lead and for them to be positive, and there's just no pressure compared to that race at Hastings. And so there are going to be a lot of horses that generally take 100 or 200 metres to find their spots, and they're going to be sort of 3 and 4 wide trying to get little positions. Maybe a couple of them will end up sort of pushing forward, and that might inject more pace in the race. But
what are your thoughts on Hanger out of that?
Oh, Hanger's in all sorts of trouble from 13. What do you do with him?
He's going to go back anyhow, though, isn't he?
Well, then he's absolutely dictated to by
speed,
yeah. I mean, at Hastings there, he managed to slot in front of Magnum from that better draw. There's no way, like he's going to be. I can't imagine that he's going to be. If he's midfield, he's going to be wide in all likelihood. Although Lee Thinnis, he can find find a one-off spot, but. He just doesn't have that natural go for it. He fell into that. He got into a beautiful position at Hastings. He's unlikely to be that handy, that's all.
So what I'm hearing from you, Aidan, is you believe that Battle Time is the horse that could upset the Mitigator in terms of the speed of the race? Do you feel that, or do you think he's more happy to just to find that spot outside leader?
I think he might be the horse who might just add a little bit of tempo in here rather than just letting the Mitigator get all away with nothing, and then it depends on what Alan Tate, Southern Icon does from out wide, how much they want to be in it. And the other horse could be Ronke, because we know, when he does ping the lids, he can really be a speed influence, but I don't know. You know, it's one of those things. Just looking at that Copeland's Mile market, Hanger at $8 is on the second line of betting there. So it's certainly the highest ranked of this race going into the Riccarton feature.
All right, well, let's move on to Sapira now. This horse has been to the trials, had an exhibition gallop as well post this, and that was when with Princess Kiriru a couple of Saturdays ago. She's good quality, Jason. I do believe she's got a good race in her somewhere along the line this season. Just how ready is she going to be first up on the weekend?
She might be ready, but the conditions of the race are really overall not suitable. You know, fresh up 1,600 metres, carrying 60 kilo. Those aren't combinations which say to me you want to be jumping on her and backing her with confidence. So, you know, I just, at her best, of course, she's one of the favourites for the race, but under the proviso that I just don't think she can be wound up to be peaking. You know, she has to be a double-figure chance. Bookmakers have her at 550.
I agree, but she is the class act of the race, so you've got to respect her around that.
Yeah.
She has won fresh up. She's won 6 of 13, a Group 2 winner and Group 1 place. But I agree with Jason. She's a 100 rated going into a handicap here first up, and it's completely different to where she started off her last preparation. So
I marked her 15s actually, like to be exact, 1460. So it's no knock on the fact that I think she's the best horse in the race.
Absolutely.
But the best horse has to carry 60 fresh up.
Yeah, and look, for me, I want to be betting on her this preparation. It's just not this race. I think it's once she gets
she's come up really well. Clearly, she's come up really well.
Yeah. So she's going to pick up a nice race somewhere along the line eventually. I think this preparation, as she already has last season as well. Jason, what about for you? Are you going to have a bet in the race?
I'm going to have a couple of bets. So I can't get away from the fact that Washer's Space is at 13. That to me seems an over, and the map's probably against him. But if there is a bit more tempo, then I want to make sure that I'm on. And the other one is the mitigator. The more I think about the race, the more I think that he's got every opportunity from that draw. If he isn't taken on, then he'll win. If he's taken on, he might be able to trail and still win. But yeah, those are the two plays.
That's a nice little hedge, isn't it? You've got one on forward and one back. So it's a nice little go. I'm going to go Watch the Space. Just checking, he's at $31 in the Copeland Bakeries Mile. So I might just have a little button push during the upcoming break as well. 5/10. I've got on him there. So how about you? How did you see this race?
I like the mitigator, I really do. I've actually marked it my best for the weekend.
Whoa,
so
okay, nice.
I just believe the horse can jump, hug the plastic, and be very hard to beat around Ellerslie. I think he's a horse who's proven that before at Ellerslie. He's been very good in some races like the Ritual Mile.
And the other thing is the rail's out 9.5 metres, which normally does favour those on speed.
And he needs that track to keep on improving, and it is at the moment. It went from slow 7
and the hammer down with the BP best bets as well. the BP best bets is just like bang bang. So.
Well, let's hope we see some more bang bang on the weekend anyway from the mitigator on Saturday with S. Mackay in the saddle. That's a look at a couple of feature races there out of Valleys. We've got a fair bit to go through, but of course it's hard not to look back, and Jason mentioned it as well. Cox Plate victory to Sunline back in the year 2000.
But the champion mare is going to kill them. She's 5 in front, Sunline, and a piece of racing history. Back-to-back Cox Plates for the champion mare, Sunline. She's won it by 6 lengths easily. It's the most comprehensive win in the Cox Plate, probably since Dalsify towed them back in '79.
Kamada Park is a one-stop shop when it comes to preparing budding champions for a racetrack career. Kamada Park offers the perfect environment to educate your young thoroughbred. The first 2-year-old race this season saw 2 Kamada Park graduates fight out the finish. Kamada Park is supported by top New Zealand trainers. Contact Anna Swainson today.
This is it. This
Spring Carnival is here and they're off and racing.
We're set for the most exciting Spring Carnival yet with TAB Spring Loaded. Get your money back if you don't run last.
And you're in the money is first with bonus bets for you second, third is bonus for you too, and fourth sees bonus for you as well.
TAB Spring Loaded. Place a fixed odds win bet on selected races through your TAB account, and if you don't run last, get your money back in bonus bets. Visit tab.co.nz/springloaded for details. TAB, now you're in the game.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
Savabeel with 100 to go, the leader. Fields of Omar's coming after him, and then Starcraft, but it's Savabeel in front, and it's a 3-year-old's Cox Plate. Savabeel beat Fields of Omar a length.
Amazing scenes there with Savabeel. Aidan, a bit of a nice historic there for you. You liking that one?
It was. I was on him that day. I backed him about $13, so I was quite happy. As a 3-year-old, he went on and ran second in the Derby, and we know the history of Savabeel now at Waikato Stardom becoming one of our all-time great stallions.
Yep, great to look back at an old historic there with Savabeel. We're going to move on now, though, to Riccarton. Great racing at Riccarton as well. I think another chance to get a guide on just where things are at for the New Zealand Cup week, especially with this race, the Watercree Stakes, Aidan, where we see Awatea Lad at $3.60. You've got Sherwood Forest at $3.80. They both bounce out of course, the Hawke's Bay Guineas, and you've got $4.80 around Woodcote Lass, who won't mind how track conditions are and has fared well in 2 starts down the south so far.
Yeah, these two were no match for Catalyst, who is the yardstick in Group 1 2000 Guineas betting. But this is a key lead-up race too. It's interesting just how this race sort of measures up against the Barneswood Farm Stakes at Ashburton last week, and I don't think there's a lot between them. So I think they're fair prices around those two. Woodcote Lass was just doing so much work on speed last time. It has to be a fair contender. Lightning Jack was an eye-catcher last time, wasn't it? I know it's still a maiden, but that run was superb, and at $21 might offer a little bit of value.
OK, well, that's how things shape up with the market. Let's maybe have a look at the map now for the race, Aidan, and this is how things map out where you're liking the Taylor's Niece. You've got Woodcote Lass, who's drawn a low barrier to be able to take a good spot and behind pressure as well.
Yeah, I think so. Bronte Beach is a horse who just doesn't have really great gate speed, so he can get in there sort of 3-back the fence. I expect Woodcote Lass to cross, and that will let the Taylor's Niece go. It'll be Kevin Hickman if we got that exactly
What's
right.
Here?
Aotea Lad is a tricky barrier draw third in. What do? I think they've got to try and push the button a little bit. All About Magic's another really tricky barrier draw, and Sherwood Forest, another tricky one as well. I think they've got to go back with Sherwood Forest, but who knows? Lightning Jack's got no speed as well. Maybe there's a chance for one of these to slot in here, but I don't think it's a hard-run race, and yeah, these horses out of the Hawke's Bay Guineas have got tricky barrier draws.
Yeah, well, that's the race we're going to have a look at now, and that is the Hawke's Bay Guineas. And I think if I just grab my piece of paper that I have got, Aidan, if you just want to watch this race and just pop it over Catalyst and just pretend that he's not there. Call sign Mav would love that as well, actually, because that wins by 5. But let's have a look at a couple of the others without looking at Catalyst here, Jason. Of course, that is Awatea Lad and Sherwood Forest.
I can't stop looking. I can't stop looking at Catalyst. I am now, but look, Sherwood Forest probably should have finished in front of Awatea Lad. Got a bump at the 75, which I thought he was about a head in front. Got a bump at the 75, which lost him ground, and then Aotea Lad was able to put the nose back in front. What we didn't see at the start of that race, and this is where I'm not sure about, I fully agree with you on the map, Aidan, is that Sherwood Forest jumped and was probably about a length in front of Aotea Lad. They decided to snag it back. Opie already committed to riding Aotea Lad quietly in that race. I just wonder whether if Aotea Lad goes forward, they might also press the button with Sherwood Forest and go together. And if that's the case, I think it probably increases the chances of Sherwood Forest. I thought it was a really good run in that race, and I sort of had it about a length superior to Aotea Lad. Both good performance for a race like the Watercree, but I just edge towards Sherwood Forest as being a better performance.
Well, the beauty is you go back and have a look on the Love Racing website, and you see that new Stewards vision they've got up there. You see how wide he was, Sherwood Forest, for the first 200 or 300 metres of the race before they've had to go back and sit sort of 3 wide back in the field. But there was 6 and 7 wide at the start of that race. So once again, he's got that tricky barrier draw though. So what do? You know, it is going to be about intent early as well. And the other thing is that Riccarton has been sort of advantageous for those horses being sitting wide anyhow at some time, but you still want to have some sort of cover if you can get it.
Yeah, well, Positivity certainly got him the result 2 starts ago anyway. They were keen to be able to put the horse in the race by sitting outside leader in that race that was that he was winning and beating the likes of Gigolo George and Carolino and Holy Mongol Emperor and co. So let's a look at Sherwood Forest and also Awatea Lad. Let's go now to a vision here of a couple of races we want to show you. This is the All About Magic Woodcote Lass performance. We'll talk about these, a couple of runners that run second and third, and also the others in behind, the likes of Sorceress as well here, Jason, and then we'll go again and have a look at Sorceress when running second. But you take on Woodcote Lass here when placed, and of course the winner, what was it, 2 starts ago, so went fresh up out of Riccarton.
It was a good performance. It had to cover ground, so you've got to respect that. It was an excellent run, also All About Magic. All About Magic after that ran 5th behind Carolino, but is a lot better in this race under the set weights conditions. The set weight and penalties conditions last start sort of had her having to concede weight, which is not easy for fillies to do, and this is the race that we talk about here. So, you know, in the context of that, you've got these weight swings, which I think very much suit All About Magic with regards to...
Well, look at All About Magic here, who's right back in the field. Sorry, not All About Magic, Lightning Jack. That's it, sort of coming 3-4 wide into it now. Just, it really scoots home after getting a long way back and also getting into traffic as well, and has gone past All About Magic. It was a very good run from a maiden who's on the way up. I just want to go back to Woodcote Lass as well, because we saw how wide she was. She never got in at all, and she was doing that on speed. And so I really like that performance. I think she's a high-class filly with a bit of upside going into this too.
Well, the low gate on the weekend, we know that she's a horse who can take the spot. So, I mean, there's some good positives around her, and even the track conditions, I think, as well, with where they're rating. It looks like if it does improve, that won't be an issue. But if it stays in that slow bracket as well, that still holds her in a good chance.
Yeah, I think they expect it to be around sort of slow 7, slow 8. Was speaking with Greg O'Connor about that, and he sort of felt, given the rain and what he knows and has discussed, that around a sort of slow 7, slow 8 would be that track. But she just maps well also. So that's a real positive. As you say, when you're off the track like she was in that replay that we saw, for her to be able to stick on like that's a positive. So she is not going to be doing the work that a Sherwood Forest and an Aotea Lad will have to do. That said, I think that a forward position is there for the taking for a horse like Sherwood Forest. I think if Troy Harris is positive, he can find an outside of the leader position and dominate the race from there. And I think if he does, I think he'll win.
Okay, I'm not betting into the race. No units for me, but Sherwood Forest is my lead as well. It's interesting just how that South Island form measures up against the Hawke's Bay Guineas, and that'll decide it, I'm sure.
Yep, all right, then well, let's move on to the next race we're going to preview there now, and this is the Christchurch Casino Spring Classic Handicap over 2,000 metres. Kaharo is at $9 at the moment. A market where we see Derissimo 460, single figures around D&G, a horse who's got very good cup form from last season. Auckland Cup 4th, 2nd in the Wellington Cup, 3rd in the Canterbury Gold Cup. Some more distance is key for D&G once getting beyond 2,000 metres. Zentessa ran 2nd in this race last year, $7.50 at the moment. That's the market. How do things happen early doors over the 2,000 metres?
Well, I think that's fall into place. It's the tricky one's Kaharo, who's drawn out there in 13. I think they can get forward and get to a spot. So I think that they've got to be really positive, Jasmine Fawcett, here from a wide gate, even though there's 60 kilograms on his back. I think they've got to be positive, and I think there is a spot, because I think it's just a matter-of-fact map that, you know, they'll just slot and take their positions here. D&G comes in 5 kilograms better than Lokanora from that last start after only going down half a length. So he's getting better and better. She is, sorry, but she doesn't have any gate speed these days, so I think she'll be back on the fence.
Okay, well, let's go to that race that you've just spoken about, Aidan. It is the North Canterbury Cup. The winner is Lokanora. Is this the race we need to use, Jason, as our guide?
I think so, but I mean, you could run these races sort of 100 times and you get so many different results. There's really not much between any of them. And like tempo and map position, a lot of them have eyes on other races that, to me, they're just not overly attractive betting races. She's got a short sprint, but a very good one, Derissimo, and she just sort of comes to the end of it. It's a very significant weight swing that Aidan speaks of it. It's hard to think that Lokanora would be able to beat her again under the swing and conditions as they stand for Saturday.
It just depends. Like D&G's a horse who needs to take time to wind up. So, like you're talking about one with a short sprint against one who nearly needs to wind up, and D&G and behind them there was looking for racing room, so just couldn't get into her rhythm. So if she's in clear running and she's settled-eyed early, then she's going to take.
Well, if they ride her like that, she wins the race. We've seen her do that before when she rolls along in front on a dead to slow track. She does need some cut. D&G when she does that and when she's fully fit, I mean, they wouldn't beat her if those are the conditions on Saturday.
This one I don't mind with where she sits in her preparation at the moment. Zentessa, she's third up. She's a horse that looks nicely suited to this after this run over the 1,600 metres when last presented.
Yeah, decent daughter of Zed. She looks like she's looking for 2,000 metres. Third up, as you say, a couple of boxes, significant boxes for a race like this ticked.
All right, any bets?
No bets, but Zentessa's sort of the horse that I'd lean towards, considering sort of a play in the race. I'm waiting for D&G. Maybe it's just the Metropolitan on a sort of a dead track that you want to be going on her, but yeah, Zentessa each way.
Okay, I was with D&G. How about you?
Zentessa.
Okay.
Is the one I'm liking. I haven't got a bank bet on it, but I've actually stretched my 100 units from Friday through to Monday. So
how did you do that? It's like having one cup of coffee for 5 days and taking a sip a day.
I've had a bet on every day except for Sunday, so I'll probably back drop goal on the match and the Wales South Africa match with my other bet. Anyway, let's move on and have a look at race number 8. This is the Copeland's Bakeries Mile Trial, where Kiwi Ida's the favourite at 380. Sacred Day is south now, $4.40 for Team Pikers. They have their eyes on the Copelands as well, with Sacred Day. He's trialled up nicely. As we know, he's going to be better over a touch further distance. And She's All Mine, the one that they have been keen to step into. Again, it's been that sort of horse in all of her starts, to be honest with you. Ever since she started her racing career, she's always been a market mover. Sixes into $4.60. Let's go to the map now, Aidan. She's All Mine is a horse that is normally positive out of the barriers, and you've certainly got her up contending for the lead.
Yeah, and maybe the leader, depending on what they do with Ticket to Ride, because if Ticket to Ride really puts some speed into this race, it might mean that she goes forward and crosses Monza Circuito here, who's another speed influence. I think they'll be really positive with Excuses and Camino Ricoso as well. Upper Hand should get a nice run in the race, and then you've got those sort of horses who are looking for further distance or resuming, sort of getting further back. Kiwi Ida have got one off the fence in midfield. I think she's still got to be one of the key horses in the race.
Well, let's go to Kiwi Ida, and she's been in terrific form this campaign with a couple of unluckies and then getting it done last time to the races. Cosiasano aboard again, Jason, and gets that weight down to 57 kilos.
Still has to carry quite a bit more weight than this day, and yeah, she was presented to deliver quite softly. So maybe with that fitness and all of that, maybe she is still able to win. It's not a straightforward race, though.
Isn't she? She's a cracking horse. Yep. She's won 11 of 36. She's able to quicken like that. She'll be no doubt heading towards a race like a Canterbury Breeders' Stakes through New Zealand Cup week, and then ideally I want to see her up in the north. I want to see her up there taking on the mares in the north, because I'm sure she'll be competitive. She's a cracker.
Here's Sacred Day. This is his effort at the trials recently at Avondale. He gets to the centre part of the track and he's doing all his best work. At the back half of the trial, he really surges through the line. Jason, is he? I think we all know how much talent he's got. Is he a serious winning chance of winning this race on Saturday, or is it about him running well and then Copeland's?
It's not quite a Superior scenario, like, pretty cold on Superior at Auckland, but look, I don't think 1,400 metres fresh up with a view to the Copeland's is a time that you want to be climbing in on, at around sort of $4.50 on Sacred Day. That's not my preference. I think he's likely to be, second, third, last, and having to make up a lot of ground against a few horses that will be that much fitter than him. He's got the class element. We saw that in Australia. We've always known the reputation that Tony has of him, and the regard that he holds him in. But yeah, this mare here, she's come back really well, and I think with the addition of the tongue tie and this run under her belt, she's going to be a couple of lengths better. She'll need to be. But I think if she is, then she's certainly the one to beat.
It is a step up in grey, but she's won 4 of 6 and campaigned in Queensland, so yeah, she's a nice horse.
She is, and market's moved on the horse as well, and is one of the favourites
You
now.
got a decent line on her, don't you? How are you rating her, Brendan?
Look, this is obviously her biggest test with what she has to strike here on the weekend, but I believe she's up to it. I think she's a horse that has reached that level now where she's ready to tackle a race like this. I think, and I know that she's improved since that run, and her work has come on with it as well.
That's the key that you mentioned, the improvement, and that's what Daniel Miller said after the race, that hadn't really done a great deal with her leading into that. So she wasn't fully fit, and I doubt she'll be fully fit tomorrow, but she'll be a lot fitter. And so even if you factor like your 2 lengths natural improvement from one start to the next, that might just be enough to have her winning.
You having a bet?
Did I have a bet? No, I didn't, but I was pretty keen on She's All Mine. Not from a unit perspective, but She's All Mine is a horse that I'd
You
consider.
did have a bet. Oh, no, you didn't.
And Remington, I thought was getting up to a real big price, Remington. I think maybe if they can just fire him up and get him going into his race early, that he's capable. He's just at a place in the weights where he could surprise, I think, at a price.
Yep. Rodders?
Dusty Mac wasn't too bad last time out either, behind Kiwi Ida, and it comes in 3 kilograms better, but if there's a steer from me, it would be Kiwi Ida because I'm a fan.
All right. I like She's All Mine, but I thought the bet, look, the money's gone, the price has gone on Sacred Day in the Copelands. I think he was at $26, but I think he can still get $5.
He came of age last preparation, didn't he? He went from a 65 win at Doomben to a Grafton Cup, but before that, he's going out at 2s and 3s just about every start and failing. So he's a bit of an enigma. I just wanted to see him coming back like he left, but no guarantees for
It's just that pattern, right? Like he's drawn well, but he's going to be back over 1400. Like he'll be outpaced early, and there won't be an intent to really hold a spot. I wouldn't have thought, but.
Yeah, and here is the Copelands actually. $6 Concert Hall, Secret Allure $6, Cut a Deal $8, Vigor Winner $8, Hanger $8, Sacred Day.
31s I just checked on the horse from up north.
Watch the Space.
Emma Evans horse, yeah, Watch the Space.
So yeah, Sacred Day, 26th and 12th.
Still 31s after you checked?
After you push that button. All right, anyway, let's move on now with the first call with Kamada Park, and we're going to move to Trentham now because we do have a couple of features to look at there. The track condition is rated in that heavy bracket, so you know, the field sizes, I'm sure they would have had a lot more probably horses there if it wasn't of the heavy nature, and we still get to see some of these horses that have raced well throughout the winter at Trentham, and even a runner like Polly Gray. I know that Kylie Fawcett sort of spoke post-race Matamata Cup Day that they were maybe looking for a bit of a break, but horses in form, and this is the right sort of race to be having a shot at, with the runner being in form. Polly Gray at $4.20. Secret Allure won the Taranaki Breeders at $3.10. Gallardo $9. A couple of good runs back so far for Bryce Newman. Dolcetto $7.50. Morna Kia $7, who's been busy through the winter. And Jessie G never got all favours when last presented in the Taranaki Breeders. Come to you, Aidan, with how you see things mapping.
Yeah, it favours Morna Kia, no doubt. They'll press forward, and in behind there's not a lot of speed. It'll be about rider intent from jockeys such as Leah Hemio and Irish Flame, what they do with Dolcetto, and even Polly Gray, because she's shown speed before. She was really soft in that Matamata Cup though, and that was ridden from off the speed. So I think Morna Kia's undoubtedly the leader in the race, but outside that, you know, they might be just going pretty moderate speed.
That's the challenge, isn't it? There are a couple of horses, as you say, Polly Gray one, Gallardo the other one, that has shown to be really effective, being given a little bit of cover, relaxing, and then coming with their runs. Both of them have sat on speed previously, but they've run really well, just with that sort of soft sit. This is the Premier Meet in Trentham, but of course at this time of the year there aren't many trainers around New Zealand that want to be putting their horses with a view to a spring campaign on a heavy 11. So that's knocked around the fields, and that's just what happens when you have a very, very wet
We are
sort of
getting a couple
spring.
come out of a Group 1 Livermore Classic though, and a few others out of stakes races.
The Taranaki Breeders is a good guide as well for this race. So let's go to that race now, because Secret Allure, one thing we know with Secret Allure is it's a horse who's won a Desert Gold at this venue, has also won on a heavy 10 when winning a listed air freight stakes, and then this win, after getting back in the field, weaved a path, did Rosie Myers to win, and as I said beforehand, Jessie G was a bit unlucky in behind as well here, Jason.
Got that run that Jessie G didn't. I don't know that Jessie G was quite quickening like Secret Allure was. In fact, I know she wasn't. That said, you'd say that it's worth a length for Jessie G. So there's not a heck of a lot between them. I just think that brilliance that Secret Allure has in those conditions, that ability to really sprint, stands her ahead of a horse like Jessie G. And it's unlikely to be a grinding race, I don't think, unless, maybe Dylan Turner will have ideas on Wanakea to say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to roll and I'm going to see if you can handle a Trentham Heavy 11.
Yeah,
and hopefully I will in doing it, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the best way for him to win the race, is to just go, your fitness, I'm going to test it on Trentham Gardens today.
Well, then that's how Wanakea can do it, because it's an incredibly tough horse. This is Polly Grace. You spoke about
That's
Aiden
soft, isn't it?
winning the
BP,
Motormaker.
this is really soft. She actually jumped okay this day, and then Sam Weatherly took her back. I was quite happy to put her into the race, and she's gone up and won this with a leg in the air. She's going really well. She's won 6 of 13, 3 of 5 on heavy tracks. And I thought from 53 kilograms, that's a real advantage for her. She's just won a listed race. Now she comes into a Group 3 on 53. So, she's got to be a contender because she loves a wet track as well.
Yeah, a couple of other horses just to quickly mention before we get your bets, guys. Platinum Invader, even Irish Flame. I think they're 2 horses that can be chanced at the race. Platinum Invader did run 3rd in the New Zealand Derby. Are we giving that any chance?
Yeah, I am personally. He was, you'd look at his run at Hawera, and he's well covered by Guyada, who was a good runner in her own right. But I just like the fact that second up over 1,600 metres, he might be able to smoke them. I have a huge respect for his ability. Out of that New Zealand Derby and out of that 3-year-old crop, he was certainly one of the horses that once over ground as a 4 and 5-year-old, I thought, he could be the one. He, out of all of them, he could be the one that could progress. So in a race like this, I think he is a smoky chance.
Yeah. Any bets?
We're out of time, so you're doing it.
No, tough race for me. I was leaning towards Secret Allure. I thought she was, on what she did at Hawera, she's got to be the horse to beat. But Polly Gray's not out of this for sure.
Let's move on to race number 4. This is the 2-year-old race. It is the Wellesley Stakes. Favouritism, Cool as a Beal at $2.10, opened at $2.30. Play That Song is at a quote of $4. Delatere at $4.40, of course, ran second behind Cool as a Beal. We've seen this runner go to the trials since and be impressive at the trials by winning by 2 1/4 lengths for Jamie Richards. Jonathan Parks takes the ride aboard this runner. Jason, we go to the first 2-year-old race of the season, where we see the Quinella looking to compete again in the Wellesley Stakes on Saturday.
I thought Delatere was going to go straight past Cool as a Beal, so it was a good fighting performance from the colt by Savabeel, but I don't know that there's much between the Reliable Man filly and the colt. She was really good late, but the race was probably won that last 50 metres, but yeah.
And she'd won a couple of trials leading into that as well, but so too had Cool as a Beal, and he's won a trial since as well.
Yes.
We're having a look at this effort at Te Rapa as well. He just looks like he's a real pro, doesn't he? He's just doing this on natural ability. He's a Savabeel colt. I don't think there's too many concerns with a heavy track. Some nice horses coming into this as well. Neil Moon's going to go to Ellerslie, speaking to Chad Ormsby today. Only Words was a 5-length trial winner at Avondale, so give that a chance. Play That Song was a winner on debut, and Platinum Dubai a winner at Otaki on debut. But the way I was playing it was Cool as a Beal. I'm happy to put him on a win basis. How about you?
I plumped for Play That Song. It seems ridiculous to be going against the Tiako 2-year-old. We know the record that they've developed over the last few years. But Play That Song is suitably impressed with that Ruakaka debut to say that if he copes with the track, she copes with the track, that maybe she could cause a minor upset.
And there's 4 horses that are eligible for the Karaka Million in this race, and I think that's a key factor for it as well, because those 4 runners are all in the market. They win or run second, well, they park themselves a ticket in the lottery, don't they, at Ellerslie, and it puts them in a good spot nice and early in their preparation to be able to lock that away. So a big chance for some horses there that are looking towards the Karaka Million. All right, we're going to take a break here on the first call with Kamada Park, but it's Cox Plate time. It's pretty hard to not watch this race again. Bone Crusher in our Waverley Star.
Bone Crusher, our Waverley Star, stride for stride, nothing in it. Our Waverley Star, the round, Bone Crusher the outside, and Bone Crusher races into equine immortality. What a dream finish, and Bone Crusher has won it.
Kamada Park is a one-stop shop when it comes to preparing budding champions for a racetrack career. Kamata Park offers the perfect environment to educate your young thoroughbred. The first 2-year-old race this season saw 2 Kamata Park graduates fight out the finish. Kamata Park is supported by top New Zealand trainers. Contact Anna Swainson today.
This is it. The Spring Carnival is here, and they're off and racing.
We're set for the most exciting Spring Carnival yet with TAB Spring Loaded. Get your money back if you don't run last.
And you're in the money as first with bonus bets for you second, third is bonus for you too, and fourth seed's bonus for you as well.
TAB Spring Loaded. Place a fixed odds win bet on selected races through your TAB account, and if you don't run last, get your money back in bonus bets. Visit tab.co.nz/springloaded for details. TAB, now you're in the game.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamata Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
This is how legends are made.
Racing in the Cox Plate. But it's all over. So You Think is going to go all the way. He's racing clear, and So You Think has bolted in the Cox Plate. That's an amazing win. What an amazing performance.
This is how legends are made. I'm cranking up on the...
Well, it's time to talk Cox Plate time now, team, and well, it's a race that we've already spoken about at the top of the show that is very even. We've got the international influence through the race as well, but Les Gracio is at 370, a horse that is the Japanese Raider, and we've heard a lot around this horse, Jason, that potentially could be better than what we saw last week as well. Murder Glass from a lot of the connections. Is that how you rate the form as well around this run?
She's a very high-class mare. Saw her in Hong Kong in December. She just went down to Exultant in a punishing ride. Zach Purton was very good on Exultant, but kicked back and beat Les Gracio. That's proven to be one of the strongest form lines in Hong Kong. Beauty Generation is a very strong form line up to a mile, but that Exultant form line was rock solid. Behind Exultant subsequently in the season Rise High, and that was the horse that toppled Beauty Generation and halted his winning streak. And that's notwithstanding what she did in Japan after that. She's a super mare, there's no doubt about it. Then you've got, Tiako Shark and the fact that he's drawn the core pork, so to speak, and
is it that bad? I mean, I'm sort of thinking by the time we get to this race, it's about race 18, they've had a lot of racing on Friday night.
It depends what you got in your boot porting and you've got in the core pork. But what do you think Opie Bosson's thinking?
Well, I know I spoke to him yesterday, and he said that he was really happy with the work on Tuesday. He said he's really happy with the horse, and it's going to be his job now. You just put you put your faith in his hands, and he's got to do a job. But it's not going to be easy. But we do see Les Gracio. I love your pronunciation. I'm not too sure if you knew Japanese or French or your Māori pronunciations. But at least he's going to get a tail, I think, as well. Unless they really go hard early with that horse. So how do you think they will ride her?
Oh, well, Damien Lane's already said that he'll ride her, as she jumps. I think you'd have to be positive, and in the back of your head, you wanting to be positive. In Hong Kong, settled back off the field. There was more pressure early in those races. In Japan, when she won, there wasn't much early speed, so she was able to roll around to outside of the leader, no dramas. I think there might just be a little bit more speed in the Cox Plate on Saturday as jockeys realise actually we do need to be finding that spot.
Well, that's got to be good for Tiako Shark, right?
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to back a Kiwi, the TAB are running that back a Kiwi promotion. If you back Tiako Shark in the Cox Plate up to $30, then you'll get a bonus bet if he places second or third up to that stake with a max of $30 through your account.
Well, we saw what he did in Sepsum Run. He came in giving weight to the winner. We know he's explosive. We know what he's capable of. We just want to see it on Saturday, right? We just want to see him coming out and blitzing a Cox Plate field.
We do. Look, it's up to 2,000 metres for the very first time, weight for age, all those sort of question marks. Now you've got to throw into the mix his barrier draw. So let's hear a little bit more from the team and Jamie Richards.
Just in these big races, you need every little ounce of luck to help you along the way, especially when you're doing a couple of things for the first time against these big weight for age guys in Australia. So he's got to go to a new level to be competitive in a race like this. This will be his biggest test by far.
Switched over nice.
Yeah. Happy?
Thanks, Greg. Each change perfect every time.
Okay. That'll tie him up nice. It's his first time here at Moonee Valley with a horse, but this is sort of what we wanted to do with him, bring him here and expose him to a couple of bits and pieces and get rid of some nervous energy. So I'm glad that we've done that, but he hasn't won a Group 1, but he's a Group 2 winner and he's Group 1 placed in Sydney, so he's got good form, albeit not weight for age form, but he's certainly the horse on the up. Everybody's talking about him and he's got a fair bit of hype around him as well.
A New Zealander, Te Akau Shark.
If you had have asked me 4 or 5 years ago if I had a horse in the Cox Plate at 30, I would have sort of laughed at you when I finished varsity. So no, it's a great effort and a lot of hard work's gone in.
It's a tale of two different stories here. Ben Hayes is absolutely delighted. He can't get the smile off his face. And Jamie Richards, who says us Aussies don't look after our Kiwi mates? That is what you call the visitor's draw.
He's going to have to be at the peak of his powers on Saturday to be competitive from out there.
We'll find out at 5 minutes to 7 if he is at the peak of his powers to win a WS Cox Plate. We better touch on some of the other Kiwis that are competing in Australia over the weekend as well. We've got the Manikato to look forward to on Friday night. Of course, the Bostonian will be lining up for Team Pike, Madison County as well. Gentlemen?
Yeah, in the Crystal Mile, and they did nominate Consensus for the Crystal Mile as well. She goes round in a Group 3 on the same card as well on Saturday too. That'll be on our second page. There we go, with Michael Walker doing the riding. So I think they're all in with shouts.
The Bostonian must be a great each-way bet from the draw.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, stepping up from 11 to 1,200 metres, the fact that he was pretty good against Trekking late, and then we saw Trekking place in the Everest. You know, if the other 3-year-old Bivouac doesn't sort of show up, then the Bostonian can be there picking up the pieces. And he is the only New Zealand horse nominated for the Hong Kong International Races in December, as an aside. So he's nominated for both the sprint and the mile. Of course, there's a long time to go between now and then, but yeah, we wish Connections all the best on Friday.
Certainly do. And Glory Days was likely to go towards the Moonee Valley Cup. Now Lexus on Derby Day will be the likely path for Glory Days. Okay, well, we had some success last week with the First Call Special. Let's see if we can squeeze something out of Thad Taylor. Hi, Thad. Welcome in. Well, it certainly was a very good week last week for the First Call Special. Let's find out where the money is going on what is going to be a very busy long weekend.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, Pops. 3 domestic meetings on Saturday to go with that bumper day we've got at Moonee Valley, and obviously Randwick coming in as well. So, look, I think the threat of wet tracks or office tracks and people not quite knowing where the tracks are going to end up on Saturday has just curtailed the early betting to some degree. There are a couple that they don't mind, though. Anne of Paisley in the rating 72, 1,200 metres at Ellerslie, shooting for 3 of 4. There's plenty of money for Anne of Paisley out there at $11. Looking down the aisle a little bit, Weka Force and Bound to be Honoured are going up against each other in the rating 72 down there at Riccarton. They're joint favourites currently. Bound to be Honoured, obviously, with Tony Pike. Weka Force with Terry Ray. All the money at this stage is with Weka Force, so there's probably a couple of interesting moves at this stage. But as I say, just a little bit quiet early doors with that off tracks about.
Well, let's work our way down the island, Thad. We'll start at Ellerslie. The Barneswood Farm Soliloquy Stakes really does set up to be one of the races of the weekend.
What a booming race, Pops. Great betting race, and we have a massive bearing on the makeup of this 1,000 guineas. Obviously the Sarton as well, which is currently available for betting, is out. There'll be a few fillies in that, but really the Soliloquy is the highlight, and the money's come for Travelling Light. She hasn't come with perhaps the form lines of some of the other horses, the Arethas, the Bavellas, who come through that Desert Gold, the Has to Be Goods, etc. But gee, 2 from 2 and on the eye really looks to be a progressive type. So Travelling Light's been the early move, 6 into a 480, so a fairly decent move for her. Obviously there's money for Bavella and Aretha, who are both competitive, but gee, you can make a case for many here. We've got good fillies out there at $14. Jennifer Eccles Has to Be Good out there at $14. Loire's done nothing wrong and has been running on, but if I can give you one lead, it's Travelling Light, BP.
2 features to look forward to at Wellington, Thad. We do have the Thompson Handicap and the Wellesley Stakes.
Yeah, let's start with the Wellesley BP, and there's a talented 2-year-old here, Cool as a Beal for Te Akau. At $2.10, and look, it's really one-way traffic at this stage. It's interesting, the horse that ran second there of the Rogersons has had support in that first race up at Wanganui, but one-way traffic around Cool as a Beal. Interesting, the Thompson, money split dollar for dollar between our two favourites here in Secret Allure and Polly Gray. Look, Polly Gray's been in tremendous career best form, and obviously Secret Allure was dominant last time at Hawera, so you can understand why they've been backing them both. Look, Monacare's in the race, Dolcetto's in the race. Chances don't end there. There's only 8 going to the post, but you would have to accord every one of them a chance. So, look, best bet clearly at this stage is Secret Allure, but right on its tails is the good mare Polly Gray.
And off to Riccarton now, Thad, the Ward Decrees Stakes worth $80,000.
Yeah, look, good race for the 3-year-olds here. We've got 3 horses clearly on top of this market, as you probably highlighted, but look, customers can't split them at this stage. Aotea Lad, our favourite, just in front of Sherwood Forest, who we've had some good money for in our 2,000 guineas book, particularly to run in the top 3. So look for a good run from Sherwood Forest come Saturday afternoon. And also Woodcote Lass. Look, they're not really backing anything outside those 3. We're out to $14 for the remainder, plus for the remainder. So even market can't give you too much of a lead here, BP, unfortunately.
Well, first call special time now, Thad. Punters cashed in last week. Let's see if we can get a double up.
Yeah, why not? And look, we're going to go for the Thompson handicap. It's an either-or bet type. Secret Allure is $3.10 in final field to win the Thompson. We're going to throw in Lisa Ladder's other runner for you. A Platinum Invader, the talented 3-year-old, has had a run back from a spell. You would expect natural improvement. $3.10 in the first call special till 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Up to have either Secret Allure or Platinum Invader to win the Thompson this year.
So there's the special from Thad. Thank you, Thaddeus. On option 850, $3.10, gentlemen. Secret Allure and Platinum Invader.
It's very tempting.
Yeah.
Is it going to be part of your units?
It's very tempting.
Okay, I'll have a look at them.
All right, well, we better get to our bets now, and let's go to you, Jason. Go for it.
I'll get through this pretty quickly. Not much time, but Travelling Light and Loire on that page. Don't mind Intrigue either at Ellerslie. Also got a couple of plays at our other 2 New Zealand venues. Trentham Trifolium, that'll be the best of the weekend for me. Sherwood Forest and Leaderboard, one of the better bets at Riccarton for mine.
I'm happy to play the Te Akau 2-year-olds at both venues here, looking at the Box Cornella and the Soliloquy, and for my faithful, a double down at Trentham.
There we go. All right, I'm going to start tomorrow only in Jakarta for Alex Oliveira. First starter, Snitzel mare that's ready to go. 15 units to win on that horse. Ellerslie, like Quiz Kid to win the first. The Mitigator, going to make that my best. 20 units on that. Oraki Overlord going each way on that runner. Trentham, Secret Allure, 14 units, and a little bit of Jessie G. Riccarton Exaltation, 5 units to win. The half to Melody Bell, she's on mine. Monday, Dragon Leap, 5 units on that run if it makes a field in race 3. No Moa Tharge with the sunnies on. 10 units on that.
That really was a good effort to spread your 100 units across the weekend.
Yeah, well, what do you like for the weekend, Jason?
Look at this. Jeez. Now, Trifolium.
I've gone with Press Baron, who's unbeaten in a couple of trials. Written Tycoon called On Debut. I think they really like this horse and should be in the trail and going past them in the straight.
All right, I like the Mitigator. Can jump from inside gate and be the one to beat. I thought it could be hardest to beat and might be tricky to get past. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Aidan. That's us. That is the first call brought to you by Kamada Park. It's been a busy show, and of course, we really do look forward to WS Cox Plate Day.
Do I have a thing?
I got gas in the tank. I got money in the bank.